Welcome to the Babblesonsense podcast, where I'm your host, Jonna Grimes, and we're here to discuss any and all things, but especially the shit that I want to talk about. Because let's face it, I have a lot of shit to say, and after all, you are listening to my verbal diary. Let's get started. Are you ready?
Is it starting now?
Yeah, it's
Can
recording.
you edit it at least?
I can, but I don't edit a lot.
You don't edit a lot?
No.
Come on. You got to edit some of it. Obviously, we're going to be like just talking about bullshit, so you got to edit
That's
some of it.
what this podcast is about.
It's about nonsense.
You know I'm recording, right?
Babbles nonsense. Okay. You're recording now.
Yeah.
All right. We're recording.
All right, guys. This is another episode. I have Dustin Lauterbacher here. He is an quote-unquote ex-fling, I guess.
Hello.
I don't know what he is, but I thought it would be funny to have a toxic relationship versus relationship, just relationship in general podcast with a guy, because I don't have many guys on the podcast, and I know a lot of people have been like, where's the guys at? So here you go, guys.
We loved each other once. Don't let her lie to you.
Loved is a strong word.
Liked a lot, maybe?
Was it?
I think it was.
I don't think you liked me at all, first of all.
I did in my own way, but that's the point of the toxic relationship. Let's get to it.
What is your definition of a toxic relationship?
Definition of a toxic relationship. It's not easy. It's not easy to define in one sentence or one word. I mean, there's very many aspects of a toxic relationship. Either somebody that does something to you can't apologize for it. Let's say that something happens and you bring it up, say the next day, and then they don't want to address it, or they just want to be like, I'm not going to talk about this, or put it up. Let's just move on. Let's move on. But then again, obviously, you want to discuss this. You want to get all the baggage on the table. You want to put everything on the table. But if they don't want to address it with you, it becomes this resentment, this building of resentment within you, that obviously will cause arguments in the future, because either one, there's a topic you want to discuss and you're very passionate about, but they don't want to discuss, and that just kind of like eats you up, and it comes out in different ways. Either you're gonna, say if you drink, you're gonna get drunk and you're gonna discuss it, or you want to bring it up, and if that other person's drunk, it's gonna cause an argument. But if not, it's just going to be like, well, why are you thinking about the past? Let's move on with the future. It just causes more fights, more conflicts. That's just one whole big aspect of a toxic relationship. But as a toxic relationship is something that's where everything's more negative than it is positive.
Okay.
There's positivity. There's, hey, we do this, we do that, and it's a great time. We laugh, we smile, we do things great together. But then again, the toxic part of it as well, but there's still always this thing in the back of your mind that either you're holding a grudge about, and it will never be addressed, or B, the person doesn't communicate clearly. So it's something that I guess you want to talk about and they won't talk about, which comes to communication. That's toxicity, I guess. Okay. Communication is toxicity, right?
So my definition of a toxic relationship...
Non-communication is toxicity, yeah.
So, because I obviously haven't been in a relationship in a long time. Don't count you. You don't count, because you would never call me your girlfriend. That's toxic. True. People 101. If the guy will not call you his girlfriend, that is toxicity. Anyways, my definition is when two people know that they are not right for each other, but they keep getting drawn back to each other, but they know in their mind, like, we're not right for each other, but this is fun.
Sure. That's
toxicity.
Sure.
Like, that this isn't going anywhere, but here we are. Yeah. I'm bored. Let me text you.
Yeah. And let me, and there's definitely different levels of toxicity. It's either you can be dating for, I've known plenty of examples of either you date for 3 months or you date for several years, but you're trying to move on from that person, but they keep kind of drawing you back in a way that they really don't care about you. They just want you to... They want to talk to you. Yeah, they want you to stay there.
Like a backup plan?
Kind of like a backup plan, exactly. Like they want to, they want to move on. They want to move on with their life, and they want to do different things. But then they always want to have somebody there that they fall back on.
Okay, so I feel like guys in general like to have backup plans. Do you feel like you've done that to a girl? Do you feel like you've had a backup plan where you've kind of like put it out there a little bit, like, I kind of like you, but you do your own thing, and then when they're moving on, you kind of reach back out?
Are you talking about like every guy or like myself?
Well, I know guys do that. I'm talking about you in general because you're sitting here.
Yes. Okay. There has been an instance in my life to where there was a female that I knew back in my high school years, a friend that I went to high school with, and always kind of cared about me and always had a thing for me. And so, this particular lady, we always talked, and we always talked about random shit, just whatever it was, just whether it was TV or entertainment, whatever the topic was of the day, we would discuss it. But then again, we would always kind of go on dates. Never really, it wasn't like a sexual relationship, nothing like that.
Okay.
It wasn't. I mean, there were a couple times. Sure,
no guy. I'm sorry, but a guy's not going to stay around for just a talk.
Sometimes you do. There are relationships that you have with females that aren't physical.
But not a backup plan. A backup plan is, bitch, I'm calling you when I'm bored to get you in the bedroom.
No, I mean, that's a booty call. That's different than a toxic relationship. I mean, a toxic relationship is somebody that you kind of keep around. You kind of keep giving them hope that there will be hope in the future.
Okay,
that's toxic. That is a
toxic.
Booty call is different. That's just like, hey, do you want to hook up? I'm bored. You're bored. Let's hook up, and then we won't talk for a while. Okay,
you're right. There is two differences in a booty call.
That is the
difference.
But
I'm talking about a backup plan.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, my particular situation, there was somebody that, I knew had feelings for me and had really strong feelings for me. And so we would talk and we would discuss things and all this. And then if things never went right with that particular relationship I was in for a month or two, it was kind of my fallback girl I would talk to. And it always kind of felt comforting, right? It's always a comfort feeling.
So did you talk to her when you were like bored, or like when you knew things weren't going right in a situation with a relationship that you just wanted to feel better about yourself? Like you would fall back to her?
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, you always want that validation too. Everybody does. I mean, you want to have that feeling that to whoever it is, this, whether it's not working out in that particular relationship or it's working out with this fallback person, at least you have the feeling of you have their full attention. At least you're getting somebody's attention, whether it's the ex you just broke up with or even somebody. That somebody has your attention. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. I mean,
is it just attention?
Kind of in a way. I mean, I think we all crave attention. We all crave positive attention.
But do you think about let's just take you and I, for example, because I don't like to bring other people into it. Let's just pretend you're in a relationship and y'all are broken up, and then you and I have had a thing in the past, so I'm your backup person, quote unquote. Do you think about my feelings in this situation? If you're like, I know Jonna has feelings for me, and I'm just going to talk to her for now, do you in your mind say, I know she has feelings for me, but I really just don't care. I just really need attention? Or do you even or you're like, I'm not even thinking about that. Like, I just need attention right now. I don't even care.
Every individual is different. I'm not going to talk for everybody. I just think
that's why I said I don't like to bring other people into it.
Sure.
We're talking about you. Like, you're here in the room. I can get your advice as a man, what you're thinking in your head.
Well, I mean, I guess what it comes down to is it's not the fact that you don't care about the other person that you were seeing, but it's also the fact that you want the attention and that feeling of, the feeling of being needed. I guess I don't know, like the feeling of you want that comfort feeling even from. No matter who it is, I mean, no matter if it's been somebody that's like you've known for a week or 2 weeks or a month, I mean, you want that feeling. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm just trying to differentiate, because as a female, I've been put in those positions where I can tell the guy's not really into me, and I know that as a female. And sometimes I just go with it because I'm bored in the moment too. I'm just like, you know what? He's not into me, but I'm bored in the moment too. But I'm just trying to figure out, if I'm your backup plan, do you even think look, dude, I know she wants to marry me, but I don't even fucking care at this moment. I'm just here for the ride. I'm just here for the ride. If she likes me, that's fine. If she gets hurt tomorrow, that's fine too. Not saying you're a bad person. Like, there's no wrong answer here. This is just in my mind, I've thought this, and obviously you're a guy, I'm a girl. We have different thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean, and I think you do. Maybe you might not think about it right then, but you always take everybody's feelings into consideration. But then again, obviously, in that moment, you I guess it's a shade to say, but you kind of don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
of
like,
course you don't. So.
Then I guess, like you said, like everyone's feelings come up to play initially. Like, so like maybe not initially, but maybe the next day you're like, shit.
Right.
Like, this was not worth the drama I just got myself into.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It was like, well, I kind of gave this person, this percentage of attention, and now they're going to be, thinking that, oh yeah, this.
We're going to be boyfriend, girlfriend
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we're going to be boyfriend.
Like,
yeah. I mean, we're going to be cool tomorrow. And then it's like, well, hey, pump the brakes. It's not that serious. Like, we're just kind of talking. We're just friends. And then they go make a Facebook official and shit, and then you're just like, okay, calm down. Like, it's not that serious. Like, we're just dating, right? That's always the argument. It's always like, come on, we're not in a relationship. We're just dating. Like, you can just always put dating on anything, and it's like,
we can say that between you and I.
Oh my God, you're ridiculous. No, I mean, whatever. Like, It was a good 4 or 5 months. Let's say that. Like, it was like what, 5 months, 5, 6, 7 months.
It went from 4 to 7, guys. 4 to 7.
4 to 7. Yeah, it was somewhere
between
in
4 to
that
7
range.
months.
But then we've been friends now for 5 years, so over 5 years. So then obviously it was
a good thing. Like,
it was a different. It's been
we wanted different things.
We did, and
I think everyone's on their path in life, and you just have to kind of like. Let's pretend like we probably would have been good if we were on the same path in life.
Sure.
We just were on very different trajectories.
Yeah, right. Like I had just moved back. I just gotten out of the Army and I just moved back, and I was kind of trying to find my path, my kind of like my way in the world after the military, right? So I was kind of, it's like you're free in a way, and you're kind of like going this way, and you're like, well, is this the way I want to go? Is this not the way I want to go? And do I want to settle down right now? Thinking, like my background's different. I've moved around a lot. Every 2 to 3 years I feel a little trapped. And so I'm like, well, I need that freedom, man. I gotta go. Right. Whether it's just like, I need to hop on a houseboat and just travel down the river to fucking, the Mississippi or something. I don't know. But, it's been a little different.
Trapped.
You do feel a little trapped. And that's just me personally,
so
obviously.
What would you do if you were in a relationship right now in Huntsville? You can't just hop on a houseboat. Let's pretend you got married right now. What are you going to do?
Sure.
How are you going to like get rid of that feeling of I feel trapped, man?
Well, obviously, Huntsville's a kind of a different beast. Obviously I have family here, so it is this comfort feeling. I went to high school here, so I have friends. Went to college an hour and 15 minutes away, so there are friends that I know from different levels of life, whether it was high school, college, adult life, family. But Huntsville has this great array of, city, but also country. So what I would do personally is I'm honestly looking to like the outside of Huntsville. Like I want to go to Owens Crossroads area, Hobbs Island Road, Southeast Huntsville, Gurley. I would love to go like towards the east part of Huntsville.
Like
to
you
where,
mean like living or?
To like living, correct.
Okay.
So like buying a house. That's like kind of, because it's kind of in the country, but then again, it's only outskirts, but it's also, there's some rolling hills. It's a beautiful farmland. So that's
your escape?
That is kind of your escape, sure. I mean, because it's obviously you're in the city, but you're out of the city, but you're close enough to the city that you can be in the city. So it's a mixture of it all.
So what happens, though, when you feel trapped in a relationship? Like, let's pretend we're in a relationship. You're feeling trapped. You're in this house. Mm-hmm. You're trapped, like, in this house with me.
Right.
And we're in the outskirts.
Yeah.
Then what? Do you run?
Yeah, I mean, maybe maybe sometimes you just force Gump it and you just start running. Like, I just felt like running, Like,
no, I mean, like,
what
do you do? Like, if you're in a relationship, how do you have that outlet? Do you talk to your partner? Is like talking your...
I think so, yeah, right. It ultimately comes down to communication. It's just, hey, maybe every relationship gets stale, regardless of it, no matter how long it's been. Does.
That's obvious. You're bringing two personalities together.
Exactly. You're bringing two lives.
You have to figure out a way to coincide.
Exactly. So what do? Either either you discuss it with your partner and like, hey, like it's been kind of boring. Let's get out for a little bit. Let's go do something. Let's go. I don't know. I mean, go rent go get a hotel in the city for a week. Who knows? Like whatever you want to do, go do it. But then again, in a toxic relationship, you're not going to discuss it, right? You're not going to discuss it. You're going to be like, you're going to be
screw you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm leaving.
Exactly. Or you're just going to build it all up internally. You're going to build it up, and it's either going to come out like in random moments. And, obviously alcohol is a very, outbursive, fuel. But either A, you're going to, use that as a vent to say shit, or you're just going to... Or you're going to start finding something else.
Yeah.
Or you're like, well, this is boring, so what is missing in my life? Well, yeah, it's great. The relationship's great, but maybe I want something more in the city. So then what do you start doing? You start venturing out. And with the advent of cell phones and social media and these different avenues, there's so many different options that you have. But, but in a healthy relationship, obviously you're going to discuss it with your partner. You're going to be like, hey, we've been in this kind of rut. We've been here. Let's do this different. Let's do that different. I heard something on the radio the other day that was very interesting. It's called the 3x3 rule. It was you take 3 hours a week to yourself.
Okay.
And then you take 3 hours a week for your partner.
Okay.
And I guess there was like a study that was done on it. I can't remember who it was done by. Probably some some Ivy League college. But they were saying that this is really healthy for a relationship. You take, especially with kids, and you have all these responsibilities and things you're doing. So you got to have this time to yourself. You have this time with your partner. So I think that is very, very healthy.
Well, yeah. So the older we get, we're more set in our ways. Obviously, we're both in our 30s now, and I know that I came from a situation that was not the best. Like, I don't want to put any blame on anyone by any means. Like, I was just as much involved in that situation as he was. But I think it does take place on future relationships. Like, just for instance, you and I, when we dated, like, I was involved in a situation where it was kind of secretive in a way for 15 plus years. Like, we're not going out in public. We're not spending the night. We're not doing this. And then when I dated you, you found it very odd that I didn't want to stay the night with you, or vice versa, because that's what I was used to. So I think everything that you're taught in a relationship is built over and spilt over into other relationships, just like you were saying. So now that I'm 33 and set in my ways, like I've lived on my own for a long time, like I like my time. Like, I don't even know what it's like to share a bed with someone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, can you like have your room, have my room? Is that weird? Is that toxicity? Is that weird? Like, how do you even, like, if that's something, if you were to date me now and you know that that's what I was in, that kind of relationship where it was like, you don't stay the night, I don't stay the night. And now it's, how do you acclimate to a new environment? Like, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very great point. Because I was in a long relationship to where we stayed the night almost every night together, but then again, that was an individual that felt that she had to, she had to have somebody there every night together, right? Yeah. That was her comfort. Well, you're there, we're gonna stay the night together. That was her comfort. Was that? But then again, I remember the girl I dated in high school, like my quote unquote high school girlfriend. Mm-hmm. I remember her parents didn't sleep in the same room together.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they were like, they were in like their early 50s, mid 50s, something like that. And I was like, well, that's very odd. But then again, you would see them together, and they're the greatest couple ever. Like they did the whole banter back and forth. They argued, but then again, I mean, so every couple is a little different, and every relationship is a little different. That is kind of a curse, yes, that now that we're 30 and we haven't been married and we haven't been,
it's like you're just set in your ways.
You are set in your ways, and you're setting this kind of, I'm not gonna say standard, because that just like that's just drawing a line, right? Setting a standard is drawing a line, and drawing a line means you're never gonna back up from that line. Which, if you're ever gonna have a relationship in life, you have to erase that line and be like, well, I'm gonna embrace this, I'm gonna embrace that, and I'm gonna take the good with the bad. right?
I mean, obviously, I would have to get used to someone sleeping in my bed.
Obviously,
if I'm gonna have a relationship,
I mean,
because it's not 1920 where we have different beds.
You have a twin bed in the same room, and then you may bring them together every now and then. You may, I mean,
it's like, I totally feel the 1920s.
Yeah.
Can we bring it back?
Right. I mean, but even in the Victorian era, even when girls are wearing like gowns that had like hoops and all this stuff. I mean, they still had sex. Sure, they did. I mean, every human being throughout the course of history has been a sexual creature. I mean, that's what we do. That's the fact, right? The only two mammals that have sex for pleasure are humans and dolphins. Only two. It's a fact. Look it up. It's science. Only two that do it for pleasure. And so, I mean, there's so many different factors, but we're kind of getting off subject. Let's talk about toxic relationships. What do you got? What do you got written down for the definition of what is the textbook definition of a toxic relationship?
Definition of a toxic relationship is just different toxic behaviors.
Right.
Like lack of support, like they don't have your back, toxic communication, jealousy, as in jealous of your success and what you're for. Like if one partner is more jealous of the other.
Right.
Controlling behaviors like they text and call a lot or don't let you have control of your text conversations. Resentment, dishonesty, constant stress, ignoring needs, lost relationships. And when I say lost relationships, I mean like you lose sight of who your family and friends are, lack of self-care, we all give a little bit away in our relationships. But, like, you literally don't care anymore. Like, you don't do the things that you once did. Like, I'm totally into physical activity. If I totally gave that up, that's a lack of self-care. Walking on eggshells, like, you cannot even be yourself. Like, you're constantly worried if the other person's going to care or not. So, that's the true definition of a toxic relationship.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, in my own personal experience, I guess if this, if I want to talk on one point, the eggshells one especially. I remember the girl I dated when I was in my early 20s. Got out of college. I was in the military, and we were dating. And I remember it was very weird, right? Like this very just. I remember she did not like that we would watch movies. No, Game of Thrones came out. Game of Thrones came out in 2010, 2011.
I don't know, because I just watched it in 2018.
Oh, my God. Well, hopefully you watched it all the way through.
I did.
Season 8 sucks. Everybody agrees. Okay. But remember, like, Season 1, Season 2, there was, like, nudity in the show. And she didn't like that. She did not like nudity at all. In any sort of, like, film, nothing like it. She didn't like pornography, nothing like this. And it became a huge argument. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're watching a show. We're watching a show.
Yeah.
But in her mind, it was like, well, you may like that better than you like me. And
so she was insecure in herself.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's insecurity, but that's insecurity. That's also a form of jealousy too, because it's a toxic trait. But the way that she always defined it to me was that her dad would never watch nudity in front of her mom or something like this, or would never watch it. And so she didn't feel like her partner should watch it either.
Okay. I think that's just an insecurity in yourself. Like you're afraid that your man is going to like the show more than you. So that's an insecurity, which we all have. And that's just another communication thing. Like communicate that. Like, look, I feel insecure. Like, I don't like my body right now. Can we not watch this? They look better than me.
Sure, but I mean, it was Game of Thrones, so like everybody knows the whole first season was Daenerys Targaryen. She was naked. I mean, everybody knows this. Yeah. I mean, that's how they drew you in, right? The whole first season was nudity. Second season was a little bit more nudity, but then like they kind of drew it down towards like the season 8.
Outlander,
yeah,
right?
There was no nudity in the end.
Real hardcore.
But I'm just saying the ridiculousness of what some people go through.
Yeah.
Or I guess I can't call it ridiculousness. Some people,
I mean, that's their own experience.
It's their own experience, right? Everybody has their own experience, but then again, that is that. And what was the other one about the whole like body and all that? Like you stop lifting weights and all that. And
the lack of self-care.
Lack of self-care. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's experienced that. I mean, that's not
to a degree.
Sure. I mean,
my whole life is gym and fitness, so I don't think I would give that up for someone. Sure, would I probably eat differently or maybe drink a little bit more alcohol but would I stop doing something? I think that's what it's talking about, is stop doing something you love. Like, if let's pretend you ran every day and you quit running because you wanted to spend all your time with your partner. That's lack of self-care, because you're not doing what you love.
Right.
I think that's what it's talking about. Like, we all kind of let ourselves slide and go a little bit in a relationship because you're more comfortable.
Right.
But I think this is just talking about something you are passionate and love.
Yeah.
That you just
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. In every relationship, I mean, you kind of get comfortable and you're like, and obviously everybody's timeline's kind of different depending on what job you are. And you may start eating a little bit later, and you may start packing on a little bit more pounds and doing this. And then again, you may skip the gym one day because they want to go do something and do this. But then again, in definition of a toxic relationship, for example, that this same girl I dated in my early 20s, she flat out said it. She was like, "Well, if I got pregnant, you can't go to the gym."
Okay.
She was like, "'Cause you can't look fit while I'm fat." I swear, I swear on everything. She said that. She was like, "Well, why are you going to go to the gym if I can't go to the gym?" And I was like, "Well,
why can't we go to the gym together?"
You can still, you can still go to the gym. You can still walk. I mean, hell, there's girls that are walking at 8-9 months. I mean, this thing, but
you can still lift weights at. Okay, I don't agree with that statement.
Right, and I swear that statement was said to me.
If the baby was born, I would be like, "Now, bitch, if I can't go to the gym, you're staying home and watching this baby too."
For sure. I mean,
Different
obviously, yeah. The first year of birth is definitely a different.
Like, I'm going to the gym. You're going to babysit. I'm going to babysit. We'll both get our gym time in.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have those offset time periods, and you do things differently. Obviously, that first year of birth. But then I'm talking about like during pregnancy. It's like, well, I can't go to the gym, so why should you go to the gym? Why should you look better than me if I'm like fat here and bloated and on the couch like icing my ankles or some shit? You know what I mean? It's just. That's toxicity. That is the definition of toxicity. It's why should you be better than me if I'm not as good as you?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do what I can to try to either bring you down to my level. Either mentally I'm kind of messed up, or we're on the same page.
But I think the whole point of a toxic relationship is that y'all aren't meant to be together anyway. So I think that if you are in a cohesive relationship, that you do have that communication and you want to do that for each other anyway. So That's the point of a toxic relationship, is it's not meant for you.
Right.
That's the whole point. But it's hard for people to climb out of that when they're in a toxic relationship and they know they're in a toxic relationship, but they're scared because they've been in it for 5-6 years. So they're like, well, I put in the time, so I might as well make it work. It's like, no, like, this isn't working because you're miserable. Like, when you're giving up your family, you're giving up your friends, you're not doing what you want to do, you're miserable half the time, you're not happy. That is toxic. It's toxic, but you're trying to make it work anyways because you put in so much time and you've invested. Like, okay, I get that. Like, you put in 5-6 years you've invested, but what about the 6 years you put into that and it's not going to work anyways? Then you've wasted plus years. So why not just end it now and just look for something better?
It's such a hard topic to tackle. I mean, 6 years in a life, you think of the normal dating age now. What is people are getting married between 26, 27, 26, 28. Mm-hmm. It's backed up a little bit for like traditionally from our parents, right? It has backed up, but then again, in the next generation, they keep backing up. Like, the friends that we knew from college that got married after college, they got married at 23, 24, 25. How many of them are in successful relationships right now that we know? What is the percentage? I don't know. Not
a lot. I mean, my friends were all married at 19, 20, and they're on their second marriage.
Right. So, I mean, what? The rate of divorce is 50%. I think that's nationwide right now. So... It's so hard to say. I mean, is it because of toxicity, or is it because of I think there's something better out there for me in these categories that you kind of list? It's, well, somebody maybe, have more money, maybe taller, maybe better, maybe, have better skin, maybe have better breath. I don't know. Whatever you look for. You know, hey, I've dumped girls for bad breath. Like, that is a thing. That is a thing.
It's called
like,
brush your teeth.
No. This one girl I dated for a little bit, and she was beautiful. Like, beautiful, beautiful. Blonde hair, blue eyes, really nice. A lovely lady. But she had bad morning breath. Like, I'm talking about bad. Like,
I'm sure everyone has morning breath.
Well, I don't know. Some people have dragon breath, though. Like, she had, like, dragon breath. And I remember, like, one time, like, she went and, like, even used, like, I remember she literally got up and went and used mouthwash, and I was like, oh, damn. Like, she knows it's bad. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I guess it depends on what you like and what you don't like. Hey, what was that third point you were talking about, the toxicity? What was the third or fourth about the...
Controlling resentment?
No.
Dishonesty, toxic communication, constant stress... Ignoring
constant stress is always going to be there regardless. I mean, that's kind of...
No, you should not be under constant stress.
Everybody's always under constant stress.
But regardless not from your relationship. Like, you might have outside factors, but you shouldn't be under constant stress in your relationship.
Not constant stress. Okay, let's talk about constant stress in a relationship. Either you feel like, A, I always have to please them in this way, or...
You shouldn't feel that way,
and
though.
You shouldn't. That's exactly right. Like, you shouldn't have to feel like...
That goes down to the bottom where you're walking on eggshells all the time.
Walking on eggshells, and that coincides with that. Like, it's just that, well, maybe if I, maybe somebody else is going to buy them flowers. So maybe I need to buy them flowers. Or maybe somebody else is going to spend more money on them.
But if I need to spend more money on
them. Exactly. And so that's a terrible trait. So if you're feeling any of those traits, people out there, get out of it right now.
So, off toxic relationships, but goes into toxic relationships. How do you feel about, like, cheating? Like, if someone cheats on you, like, do you go back? Do you forgive them? Like, how do you work through that?
Cheating is a huge definition these days, because with cell phones, that little square that you keep in your pocket every day, that is cheating in many ways. Because
so cheating physical or emotional?
It could even be emotional. I mean, how many people have you been with, or how many boyfriends have you had that have still been friends with their exes on social media, have still even had some sort of contact with even people they've liked on social media? And that's 100% everybody. Like, you can't lie about that. There are some people out there who quit contact altogether, 100%, and they completely delete somebody out of their lives, and that is fine. But then again, there is still that in your mind cheating. Like, your mind is always going. It's, well, what if? What if? You hold them. Everybody holds on to that little sliver of hope that, well, maybe if this would have changed, or if that would have changed, maybe we would still be together, and the cheating would never happened, right? I mean, I think about my brother and his first wife. They dated for 6 years. They were married for 3 and then got divorced because he cheated on her. He did physically, not emotionally and not mentally.
Well, I mean, I guess all 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess all 3. The whole shabam. But I remember he told me. They had a kid together, right? And they had a kid together like year 1.5. And he told me, he was like, the love from them passed to him, passed to their child. So the love that they had between each other, like we talked about that 3x3 rule, that time that you spend together goes to your child. But that also goes towards the stress and all this. But I remember he told me that. He was like, yeah, we cheated, and they obviously got divorced, but then they still had to keep in contact together. They still have to keep in contact. So, I mean, with his new wife now, is he cheating? Is he out there texting other people, or even like liking other photos from other girls? I don't know. But it's like he's always going to have a relationship with this person that he was with first, that he's with now. So even if he's like, I'm sure there's still a fraction of them. I'm sure even a half fraction is like, well, what if?
I think there's a difference when you're liking someone's photos. Like, it's different if you're liking photos versus thirst traps, like in a bikini, naked. Like, if you're liking a lot of half-naked women, there's something to say about you versus, oh, I like this picture. It's a very pretty picture. You're fully clothed. There's a sunset. There's a beach, whatever. There's a big difference in liking those photos versus thirst trap photos. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I get what you're saying.
I mean, I would have a huge difference in that. Plus, Instagram doesn't show you that anymore. Instagram doesn't show you likes of what other people like they used to.
And that was a curse. That's a really bad. I'm sure that hurt a lot of relationships.
Well, I mean, just like Facebook used to show you what photos people liked. They don't do that anymore.
Oh, it did?
Either.
I never knew that. I never knew
Facebook used to be
did that.
Oh, Justin Lauderbarker liked this photo, and you're like, oh, really? Okay. I'm just saying, like, it's just different. Like, and when I'm talking about cheating, I'm talking about like physically and emotionally. Like, if someone cheated on me, and I was with them, I don't care if I was with them 25 years. The situation would depend on, number one, can we rebuild? Because trust is the number one most important thing in a relationship.
Right.
And if I can't rebuild it, then it's over. It doesn't matter how much I love you. It's going to hurt, but I have to move on, because every time you get on your phone, every time you leave the house, I'm going to be like, where are they going? Who are they talking to?
Right.
And like, I don't need to live like that. Like, you're a prisoner in your own mind. Like, that is toxic in itself. Like, you can't just... Like, I think that just everyone should have to think about that before you even cheat on your significant other. Is like, do I want to go through this? Do I want to put my, like, sex is, like, a lot of men will say, well, physical cheating is not the same as emotional cheating for men.
Right.
Where men will get mad when their wife or woman or whoever physically cheats, because to them, that's more than emotional. Like, if I was texting someone or DMing someone, like, a man would be like, I'd rather you just have sex with him, like, because that means nothing. So men and women are completely opposite when it comes to that.
Yeah. So I guess in my last previous relationship as an adult, I was cheated on, and I guess in the you go through your stages. You're like, well, there's something going on, and then you go through that stage of, okay, there is something fucking going on, and I need to find out what. Then you kind of go through your crazy stage where, well, no, you go through like the sleepless stage where you can't sleep at night. Then you go through kind of your crazy stage. Well, I'm gonna go drive by their house, and I'm gonna go find them, and I'm gonna go figure it out. Like, you're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna message all their friends, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna figure out what the hell's going on. And then again, you finally come to the conclusion stage that it's like, okay, yes, this did happen, but I guess I did some online research, and I was like, why? Like, you always want to know the why.
Yeah, I think that's in any situation. Mm-hmm. Why? Is it me? And
is
you always want. Is it me? What did I do?
You're correct.
But it's not you.
Yeah. And I guess in the online research I did, I guess the conclusion I came to was men cheat for physical reasons. Either A, she's got fat titties. She got a fat ass, right? Like, hey, she was coming on to me at a bar. Hey, like, we usually, I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but yeah, like, men, it's like, well, she came on to me. She looks better. It's physical. Mm-hmm. For women, it's emotional. It's emotional. Like, they cheat for emotional reasons. Well, I'm not getting what I want out of this relationship, so this guy is going to provide this, and I'm going to cheat because this guy is going to provide that. Mm-hmm. And so that comes back to the whole toxic relationship. Well, if you're cheating, why do you still want to have the guy that you're staying with? Why do you still want to have them there? And then why does it always have to be like a blow up at the end when they find out? Then it's like, oh, it's a big fucking game, right? It's like, oh, it's the biggest fucking deal. He found out I was cheating. But then again, you didn't care when you were cheating in the beginning, right?
But why keep going back to that? Since we're talking about you, why keep going back to that? Like, if you know it's happening and you know there's a big blow up at the end of it, do you continuously go back to it, or do you say, okay, I gave you one chance, now this happened again, now bye, bitch?
Right. And
that's on you. Yeah. Like, fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, shame on me.
Exactly.
Like,
and yeah, you can give people many chances, as many chances as fucking possible, and they'll still disappoint you. That's just human nature in general. Like, humans are always going to disappoint you. But I think, in the instance I had, I accepted her back many times, and it was always the same conversation. Well, I don't want anything to do with him. This is over. I want to be with you. But then again, everything would be good for 3-4 days, but then something would happen, and they'd be like, okay, here we're back on the same wheel that we've been on for the last months. But that's definitely a toxic relationship, because she didn't want you to leave. She doesn't want you to go fully away. She wants to keep you there,
well, that goes
just
back
in
to the
case.
Guy wanting the backup plan. So why is it different for a backup plan for a guy and it's okay because you had it? You said you had it at one point versus this girl maybe have you as a backup plan.
I'm not saying it's the same thing. I mean, it is not the same thing. It is the same thing. Okay. Agree to disagree.
If you string someone along for 10 plus years as a backup plan, how is it not the same thing as if someone cheats on you 5 or 6 times and keeps you in their mind as a backup plan?
Sure. I mean, 10 years is a long time if you're going to be a backup plan for that long. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
hashtag I was an idiot.
Well, hashtag we're all idiots, I mean, in a way. But, you know, it's... I don't know, but eventually your body becomes numb to it. Like, you don't feel anything. You don't feel anything for them anymore. I think you have to wisen up. And initially, you know initially when it happens, you trust your gut, right? You know your gut is telling you something. You know, whether it's something's wrong or something is not going right.
Yeah.
You trust your gut and...
Intuition,
exactly. But, you know, I had a conversation with a great person before in Nashville, and you know, this individual that was a friend of mine.
Wasn't me, guys.
It was not Jonna. It was not babblesonsense, because she speaks nonsense. But I'm kidding. But she was in kind of a similar situation. She was with this guy for, you know, so many years, and kind of kept going back. But, you know, she explained to me, she's like, it's a drug. It's a drug in your mind, because whenever you see this person's name come on your phone, you see their name pop up, anywhere, you get these endorphins. You get that feeling of, no matter if you were the one that were causing it, or you were the one that was doing it, or you're the one that was even defending it. I mean, it's this idea that it's a drug, and in that moment, in that split second of whenever they called or text you, you hold on to that hope. You hold on to that hope that in that split second they were thinking about me.
That's like my aunt, who very wise woman. You met her.
Right.
She said, like, because my situation that strung on for a very long time. Too long. She was like, are you in love with that person, or are you just in love with the idea?
Right.
Like, put someone else's name in his spot. Like, are you just in love with the idea that he's giving you this hope, this life? And I was like, you know what? I think I'm in love with the idea of this fantasy of a family, this life, this situation. Like, take him out of the equation. I just want what he's offering.
Right.
So take him out of the situation. Yeah,
you take that and you remove that individual, and that idea is still there.
Yeah.
So you remove the individual, the idea is still there, your heart is still there, your heart's still pure. And so it's just, you know, you have to adjust. You have to get out of this toxic relationship that you're in. You can't let them, regardless of whether you're the one that's beating them down, or they're the one that's beating you down, or telling them, or you tell them you're done, they call you 2 days later, and they're like, well, I love you, and I want us to be together, and I miss you, and all this stuff. All the things you want to hear. You want to hear that. But then again, you know in your heart it's not the right things, because you know in 2 days you're going to do something different, because that's just what they want you to hear, because they're toxic, and there are toxic people out there in life that...
And you just have to recognize it.
You have to recognize it, because they're not ever going to be happy, so they don't want anybody else to be happy either.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
And they'll never be happy until they address their own issues, which some people never will. And they'll never be happy.
Therapy people. Therapy.
The psychologists out there, hey,
I'm trying to get Dustin into therapy. He won't do it. But if there's a therapist out there in the world, get on this podcast, holler at your girl. Seriously.
I use a 12-ounce therapy. It's called Yingling. So maybe
cheers.
Cheers.
All right, Dustin, thank you so much for being on this podcast and talking about toxic relationship. I know we babbled a lot, which you didn't want to do, but we
Talked
did.
a lot, yeah.
I'm sure there will be a part 2 on this situation.
If everybody likes it, we'll talk again.
I was going to say, I'm sure people would want you to have back and we can just babble on some more. So
sounds good.
Until
Peace
next
out.
time, guys. Bye.